Hey, all, and welcome to the Higher Vibe Society podcast. If you are new to me, my name is Dana, and I teach spiritual wellness. I help people understand who they are, unstick the stuck, and take spiritual and metaphysical practices and turn them into practical actions in order to call in that spiritual love, wealth, and wellness that you want, that we all want. Now, in today's episode, I'm talking to Skye Frank. Skye is an intuitive strategist, transformational guide, and passionate advocate for helping people unlock their design and create lives of alignment, peace, and purpose. And as the CEO of the Cardology Advantage and the creator of the Applied Cardology Framework, Skye's pioneering a new approach to help business owners, parents, and couples harness the power of their natural blueprint to thrive in every area of their lives. Beyond her role as a teacher and guide, Skye is also an author, a speaker, and a coach committed to helping individuals and families break free from cycles of stress, misalignment, and missed opportunities. Through her books and apps and courses, she's equipped her clients with the ability to decode their destiny, align with their natural flow, and build businesses, relationships, and homes that reflect their highest potential. So in this conversation, Skye and I talk about our experiences and how cardology helped us to understand that they weren't just coincidences. They were experiences literally written into the scripts of our lives, and cardology just helped us decode them. So without further ado, enjoy the episode. Welcome, Skye, to the Higher Vibe Society podcast. How you doing?
I'm great. I'm great. I'm doing good.
I'm so
doing good.
happy you're here.
Thank you. Thank you.
Here.
We get
Okay.
to bring our chit chat to the public
I know.
now.
We're bringing it live, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So answer me this, because I talk to so many cardologers, and the question that I ask, and the question that's always asked of me, so I'm going to ask you right here, is how do the cards find you?
Okay. I got to shout out my girl because she's going to see this and she's going to get a kick out of it. So I have this friend, Nicole. She goes by Naga Shakti. Hey, girl. She came over my house one day. And, we've always done this type of esoteric type of stuff, talking this, whatever. So she's like, girl, I got this book. So she pulled it out and she starts doing this reading. And I'm like, what is this? So she calls it The Cards of Destiny by Robert Camp. I think a lot of people find out about cardology either through him or Aquarius Maximus, been my experience. So then she pulls this out. And I mean, it was just like I went on this deep dive. I went and bought the book, and then I would be calling her all the time, asking her questions. Like, girl, stop. She was like, I don't have time to be asking you all the time. So I was like studying. I just kind of just went down the rabbit hole into this deep dive. And then I was just like, I found out that you can get a certification in it. So this has been like for a few years I'm watching it, and I told all my friends, and all my friends, we all got the book, and we're all doing these readings for each other and stuff.
I love that.
And so I'm flipping pages, right? And then so I went and I think I even went and got I was just doing all the things. And then I found out you could get certified because I was really into it. I was really applying it to life. I started applying it to my coaching practice. So I do small business coaching too. And then so I'm doing readings for my clients. They're like, oh my God, they're getting all these aha moments. So then I went and got a certification. I went through Empowered Cardology. Hey, Ashley.
Hey,
that's
Ashley.
right. I know. That's right. That's right.
Yes,
So with
yeah,
Ashley
the same
too.
teacher. Yes.
Yes.
Phenomenal.
So then,
Shout out to Ashley.
and Ashley. So then I went and got my certification. And it's funny, she always jokes about it, right? She was just like, you're the one person who was just like, oh, you're just going to you didn't really do all that with the cardology. You just want to be, you just wanted it for your personal benefit. Well, it kind of took off from there. And so I kind of did some things with cardology. And it's really become a fundamental part of my life now. So yeah, did the whole company, apps, books, courses, all the things. So
yeah, you're like, I did a little something. No, you did a lot of something.
It kind of went, and it was funny because she was just like, I thought you just wanted to. I was like, I thought so too, but it called to me. But it literally took it guided me. I can't say this was not me. So this was kind of my guidance, I guess you could
Amazing.
say. So
Okay. So how would you describe cardology to someone who has never heard of it, which I mean is literally
a lot
like
of
most of the
people.
world, right? Like,
Okay, this is how I describe it. I said cardology is just like a system of pattern recognition. It gives each person an energetic archetype. And using those archetypes, you can get a pretty freaking accurate understanding of the person, how they act, what they do, how they think. And you can also use those same energetic archetypes as a way of creating a roadmap for your life. So not only are birth cards, that's the energetic archetype, uh, a description of a human being, they're also a description of the energies that affect your life. So it tells you who you are and tells you where you're going
mhm,
and how to get there if you need to ask questions.
mhm. I second all of that. I second
Yeah.
all of that. I'm like using the system, and I've been tracking it over a number of years. Like, I have
Yes.
never experienced something that accurate.
The accuracy.
The
It's the
accuracy
accuracy is,
is crazy.
yeah. And it's like, and it's funny because they start this, I always say the cards start to speak to you. It's
Mhm,
like you start recognizing the energies. And it's just like the thing about cardology, right, that I really love, right? Because life has rules and energetic patterns. If you remember something from, say, 5 years ago, how an energy affected you, and you see that card come up again, you kind of know what's going to happen. But
mhm.
I've done this with I've done this in my life and other people's lives. Like I knew when this guy was going to break up with his girlfriend before he knew he was going to break up with his girlfriend because he had the same card from when he broke up with the last relationship. I said, "Oh,
Wow.
yeah,
Wow. And
yeah,
that makes perfect sense. I look at like
mm-hmm,
when I was pregnant and when I gave birth to my kids, I had
mm-hmm,
similar cards, right? Or
mm-hmm,
my favorite thing is my children's birth cards were in my spread.
yeah, yeah."
Or
That's always a
like,
good one.
yeah, or sometimes, on a particular day, I'll meet someone or I'll be working with someone, and that card of the day happens to be their birth card, right?
Yeah,
When I tell you I love stuff like that, I'm
yeah.
like,
And me and
these
my
cards don't
girlfriend,
lie.
right? I had this other girlfriend, Liz. This was like whenever there's like she's a two of diamonds and I'm a five of diamonds, and her dad is a five of diamonds. So we jokingly have this thing back and forth whenever our cards come, we were like, "Come get this work." Like we try to hang out with each other on those days because it's like, so what you got?
Mhm.
What you got for me today? What do
Right,
I need to know?
right.
Yeah.
What's
So
happening?
and it's funny because her dad has an affinity for me out of all of her friends.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, that would make
Yeah.
sense. Y'all
Yeah.
get each other.
Yeah.
Y'all
So it's
five of
just like he
diamonds, get
always
each other.
asks about me. He says, "Oh, he'll save stuff." He's like, "Well, that's for Skye." And I'm like, "Oh, okay."
Let me ask you this because I actually had this conversation with someone the other day. Do you find that you really vibe with people of your same suit whose birth cards are the same suit as you? So in your case, diamonds?
Um, Sometimes, and I'm going to tell you
Mhm.
this, it depends on what card it is. You and I
Okay.
share a planetary ruling card. So we connect
Hmm.
on an intellectual communicate. We're always chit-chatting, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So the card itself is one that is good for, I guess you could say, a higher interaction.
Hmm.
I'm a five of diamonds. Five of diamonds are mirror cards. And so if, and I say this because I used to work, I used to have a boss some some time ago that was a five of diamonds that did not get along with.
Interesting.
Yes. Interesting. That's what I said. And now that
Wow.
I look at it, and it's not that I didn't get along because this was before I understood cardology.
Hmm.
This was before I knew anything about it. What I was doing was, I was mirroring him. And it was it was very difficult for him to deal with.
Mm.
And I did not understand why um, we were always clashing. We've since worked it out, and he continues to try to work with me on a variety of things. But he's also always had an affinity for me too. So it's just like you have that love-hate relationship with that person. People I get along with very well when people are aware of the work, I guess you could say, or doing the work or working
Mhm.
on themselves, because they understand what triggers are. They understand um they're doing whatever it is, whatever modality of healing that they use.
Yeah.
Um they're actively doing it. So I get along with people like that. They're realizing, they understand what is happening.
Mhm.
Um, so, if I have somebody with uh, people that I get along with, obviously your Venus and things like that, or I really, yeah. So the cards they definitely carry their energy to them.
Yeah, for sure.
So, but I
Um
definitely have a difficult card to get along with. And and it's funny because, one of the things about cardology is just has brought me a lot of peace. I see, like, why people are always people either love or hate me. And that's a difficult thing to have. That energy, or that energetic experience, is very difficult to have, especially as a child, because you're just like,
yeah.
I'm literally just existing. I'm not even talking to you, and you're
Yeah.
having a reaction to me. I'm
Yeah.
breathing. So, and I didn't understand why it was happening, for so many years. And, I was just like, oh, something's wrong with you. You got to be different. But one of the things I would say is cardology was it saved my life, because it allowed me to exist in that space and understand and not internalize it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. So that's very interesting because my next question was going to be like when you learned about your birth card, what was like the most surprising thing revealed to you? And I like that you said, like, I understand this is a difficult card, right? This is a card of
Yeah.
mirroring, and people are either they gonna vibe with me or they're not,
I can
understanding
literally
that.
just be sitting here, and people like enraged. Yo, people get to you. There's no interaction. It's crazy. It's crazy.
That's so
Yeah.
funny. Do you know what to add to that? And I know it's your ruling card, but I definitely experienced this with the King of Clubs energy ever since I was
Hmm.
a child. There is this, I don't know what to call it. There's just this thing that I guess I've always projected, even though like I'm this quiet, shy Pisces, but there's this thing that I've just always projected that I didn't even know I was projected because I'm just being, right? That
I know exactly where you're going with
people,
this.
right? That people have
Hmm.
always, for whatever, it's almost like this masculine energy, even as a child, that
Yeah.
somehow threatens people, especially the adults in my life.
Hmm.
And especially the adult
Yes.
women in my life. They would
Hmm.
like and I'm just sitting there being,
Hmm.
And when I
Hmm.
learned about my card, I was like, no wonder people would have these reactions
Hmm.
to me for
Yep.
no reason when I'm not doing anything. I'm just a kid.
Hmm.
So I
It's
don't know if you
also,
kind of experienced that as
I
well.
100%, 100%. So it's just like a
Yeah.
double for me, right? And then
Mhm.
also, kings are a card of authority. So you had a
Right.
presence about you that was what people would put unwarranted for somebody your age. And so
Mhm.
people that have issues with authority, people that have issues with feeling dominated, people that are going to be triggered by you because you're not cowering in the way that they think you should for somebody as a child.
Yeah.
There's a presence that you carry, a sense of self that people spend a lot of time. My experience was people would spend a lot of time trying to diminish my sense of self because it made them uncomfortable that I had a sense
Absolutely.
of self. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yep.
Did not understand that. Yeah.
Yep. Experience the same thing. And as a
Hmm.
child, and especially, um, again, like I'm a Pisces, so I
Mm.
can't understand like why,
Right.
like why do
I'm,
you,
yeah. Yeah.
why, like me? Like what? But I also noticed as I got older and I
Hmm.
started to develop more of a sense of self, more of a sense of identity,
Hmm.
I started being able to say, no, I'm not doing that.
Right.
No, I don't want to do
Right.
that. No, I'm not going to
Right.
be that. And really asserting myself, oh, it got 10
Hmm.
times worse, right?
Yeah. It
10
was
times
really
worse.
bad also for me because when you think about your life path spreads, right? And as you're
Mhm.
moving through the various time frames, I think my Mercury is a queen of spades. So
Mm.
all the it's like,
Okay, so can you explain that for someone who's just like, what?
I'm just
What?
existing, man. I'm just living right now. So it was a lot. So your life path spread is just like for some people who are into astrology, just like your natal chart, it's the energy that you're born with that you go through each 13-year period of your life, right? And one of the things that often, so like your first 13-year period is your Mercury period. So that's like the energy, that's the dominant energy in your life. So in addition to you say you have your birth card and your planetary ruling card, there's also the card that you want to say sitting in. And I always describe it like this. I always say it's the card that of the energy that you're learning to embody or that you're trying to live. You're going to have that energetic experience for that time, that period of the year. Right. And so what when you're dealing with court cards, those are cards of authority, those are cards of dominance, those are cards of leadership, right? So if you have a card where your dominant energy, one may be a king, and then you're sitting in a Mercury that's a queen, it's really hard for, I won't say it's really hard, but depending on the environment that you're in, if there are people around you who do not understand why would this child have such a strong presence or this sense of self, depending on the environment that you're in, it can be very threatening for not
Mhm.
only the adults, but for the people, but for other children. And you become sort of a target because one, you're going to also be naturally intelligent.
Yeah.
Those are cards of intellectual dominance as well. And so what you'll often find is people will bully you and pick on you. You'll often be the subject of bullying and picking because one, you have a natural capacity for intelligence, you're natural, and then you see things that other people don't. So not only do you have the authority of the court card, but then you have the dominance as well as I want to say insightfulness.
Mhm.
It's like the pro when they say, "Oh, she's wise beyond her years," sort of
Yes.
energy.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
And I love that you said that because I've been told that so much as a child.
Mhm.
You're very mature for your age.
Mhm.
So much
Mhm.
so. And again, learning about the King of Clubs and the King of Clubs life
Mhm.
spread helped me when I tell you everything started to
Mhm.
make sense, all
Yes.
my life experiences between that
Yes.
and my birth chart, my entire
Yeah.
life
Mhm.
started to
Mhm.
make sense. I'm like, "Oh, that's why I do that. That's why I think the way I think. That's why I
You're like,
naturally love to do these things." Everything
yeah.
made sense. And what I always tell people is this goes beyond, you know, divination, which is what everyone
Mhm.
connects to when they hear
Mhm.
about any kind of esoteric
Mhm.
modality. It goes
Right.
beyond that. It really is about learning about yourself, learning about your
Mhm.
experiences in a way where you can approach it with
Mhm.
curiosity instead of
Yes.
judgment and start to heal
Right.
yourself so that
Yes.
even though there are
Yes.
things in your spread, there are things in your chart that are difficult, you learn to love yourself more.
Yes. Yes. Now I was laughing in my head because I'm like, all my life I had to fight. So what? So here's
I can
the
imagine with that five of diamonds.
here's it. It's funny because I always have like movie quotes or something stupid like that running through my brain. So I'm like, yeah, that's yeah.
Hmm.
But that's kind of the energy. And it's funny because that's what having that understanding is precisely what allowed me to heal a lot of my trauma and anger and resentment that I had growing up towards people that I'm like, why are you treating me like this? I didn't do anything to you,
Yeah.
so, and understanding and allowing myself to be able to release that because now that I understand when it's, when I'm experiencing it, I can literally just sit there and just look at them. I go, okay. And I don't have the same emotional impact. It doesn't have the same emotional impact on me it used to because I'm fully aware of what's happening.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's awareness is everything because it can literally
Mm-hmm.
change your perspective. And
Mm-hmm.
changing
Mm-hmm.
your perspective is it makes it so much easier to heal and release
Yeah.
things. Just a simple change
Yeah.
in perspective.
Yeah. Yeah. For
Okay.
sure.
So,
Which is funny. Mm-hmm.
no, what were you gonna say?
No, I have this, funny enough, there's this person that I follow on TikTok. She's a somatic intuitive, and she does, goes on TikToks and talks about healing and stuff like. She's a 9 of diamonds, which is my karma card, my karma 2 card. So it's like the card, the
Hmm.
energy I'm supposed to pay attention to. That's supposed to be quote the difficult. But it's funny because she says that all the time. It's all about your perspective. So it's funny
Hmm.
how you get these every time I go on and, listen to her. She might be doing a reading for somebody totally. And again, that goes back to the cards, right? I make a conscious effort to go onto her lives when she's doing readings because she's a 9 of diamonds. And I know that in this lifetime, I'm supposed to give that card energy.
Mm.
So it's one of the ways in which I incorporate the energy on a high side.
Yep. Those karma cards.
Yeah.
So this is kind of like an example of the King of Clubs karma card, the Two
Mm-hmm.
of Spades, right? Two of Spades is
Mm-hmm.
not an easy energy for me. I'm very
No.
much like, I'll do it myself. Like, don't worry about it. I got it.
Yeah.
You
I
know,
got that.
not to mention
Yeah.
I'm a Virgo rising. So like having all the steps done, very
Mm-hmm.
meticulous. Like I have all the steps. I know the strategy. Like, don't worry about it has been the way that I've operated most of my life, right? And then the times
Mm-hmm.
where you do step out, sometimes you tend to get burned or end up in
Yeah.
not so great partnerships. Um, so that Two of Spades as my karma card, the thing that I'm working
Mm-hmm.
towards, because Eight of Spades I got down. Eight of Spades,
Yeah.
we talk
Yeah.
about willpower. I'm like,
Right. Right.
I've got that. When I
Right.
say I'm
Right.
gonna do something, Jesus has to come down and stop me. That's it,
Mm-hmm.
right? But
Right.
the Two of
Right.
Spades is more like, because when you think about it, so for any King of Clubs listening to this,
Okay.
putting yourself out there is essentially kind of, putting a little trust in another person, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And especially when you have bad experiences, and of course with the King of Clubs, that's, the natural um karma card and the thing that we need to work towards, that could be a little difficult.
Mm-hmm.
That could be a little hard
Mm-hmm.
because you never know what you're going to get,
Right.
right? So
Right.
I've
Right.
struggled with that a lot. I don't know if that's been a thing for you. Um,
Mm.
but
So I have an interesting story
tell us.
about the 2 of spades. And so my dad was a 2 of spades. And we had a tumultuous relationship. And it's funny that you say that because and it's funny because it showed up I remember one year he showed up as my Pluto. I was like, oh
Ooh.
God, it was horrible. It was just a really bad year. But yeah, um, he was, we had a tenuous relationship.
Ooh.
So
So
that's very interesting.
you have the energy of the first karma card and then Pluto on top of it.
Yeah,
I'm
it
like,
was
girl,
bad.
how'd you
It
make it?
was, you make it. I'll tell you that story offline. It was intense. It was an intense year.
I can imagine.
It was an intense year. It
I
was
can
really
imagine.
bad. So yeah, well,
So I have a question for you about that because it
mhm.
has happened for me several times, and I want to know if you've ever had this happen and how you've dealt with it. And for anyone else listening too, because I've seen it in people's spreads. What happens when someone that you're close to, a best friend, a partner, someone that you love and care for, happens to be your Pluto card for the year? Because in my experience, I have had relationships, like friendships, end when someone was like my Pluto card, and
Um,
or I was their Pluto card, right? So I'm like, I understand how intense that energy is, and it's always something that needs to be worked through. But for me, it felt like these things only survive if both people identify and name the issue and want to work through it, right? If one person's
mhm.
hiding, if one person's not saying anything, then it either blows up or I'll notice that people just start to move away from each other. So have you ever had that happen? And
I
have you
have.
ever
So
made it through?
yes, I have.
Okay.
But again, that goes back to the person doing the work. So again, going back to
Yeah.
Liz, the reason I mention Liz so much is because Liz and I were in a group called WAR, a Women Altering Reality. And so we had a
Mm,
group of women who came together for the purpose of healing, for the purpose of working through stuff. So one year she was my karma card. Didn't even, not my karma card, my
your
Pluto.
Pluto card.
And I was like, we were like, but it's because we both have done so much work on ourselves and we're conscious of any of those types of those issues. And we had frameworks to work through. It wasn't a thing. So
Okay.
remember, it wasn't a difficult thing. That means it wasn't transformative. So remember, Pluto is going to be transformative. It doesn't have to be bad.
Mhm. Mhm, mhm, mhm.
You have to, again, it depends on the people. It always depends on the energy that you're working with. But both, it just so happens that both of us are conscious about living on the high side of the energy. So when our conflicts never get to the point of, you know, ending things, we may have conflict, but it won't be to we have the ability to work through it.
Yeah.
Again, because we're both conscious of it. So yeah, I have had that experience. Now, that I'm aware of, uh, okay, I'm gonna tell you. I said I wasn't gonna be messy, but I'm gonna be just a tad messy because this is a situation I'm still in. I am in a lawsuit or just completing a lawsuit with somebody who I was close to. They were a coach of mine and I was their Pluto card. And our relationship now,
Wow.
nasty style. It went from there to now. I'm only, look at you getting an inside scoop over here because I'm going to do a video about it in the next couple of weeks. Because once I get the judgment, um,
Wow.
uh, I'm going to do a video. But I was acutely aware of of what was happening to the point where I told this person, I said, listen, this was a coach for something else I do. Um, I said, listen, I explained to him that I'm your Pluto card, explain what the energy does. I said, you're being triggered and you are, all this is going on in your head. This is not reality. I said, the difference is this is an energy you're going to have to learn this year. I said, I think I was even his lifetime Pluto. I got to look back at this card. I'm
Oh,
almost positive I
Lord.
was his girl. I was lighting him up. And it's funny throughout, I think I'm his lifetime. I'm going to look now that I got you up here, now that I'm talking about it. because throughout our working relationship, he always would make the comment, oh, every time, she's always making me change. She's always like doing something that creates a change in how he operates. He lives his life or whatever the case may be, right? And the good thing is, and I told him, I said, if you could understand your experience of me is going to make you better, and you could keep that in mind, even if it feels difficult. I said, your very experience of me is going to make you a better person. And prior to me being his Pluto in that year, he changed, he developed products and things like that for his business that increased his revenues and stuff like that. Literally because of the experience of me, he's just like, I gotta be able to change my business for people like her. That's that. So, um, when we had what I'll say, our final blow up before the relationship ended, I said, listen, I'm fully aware of what's happening. It's like, if you could understand because he was, he is, um, so he was what people refer to as Christian, right? And so people that do these, what he calls New Age or these other types of spirituality, is, you're not necessarily, oh, that's not of God and all this, whatever. I'm not going to go into that debate. So I would explain to him, I tried to explain to him the energy. I said, listen, this is the energy that we're operating as. What you're experiencing is a truth. I'm not actually doing anything to you. I said, there's something that needs to heal. And if you could look at it from that standpoint, you don't have to be so, just like literally she would just be angry at anything. I would give you an example of what I mean. If you're talking to somebody, how you're sitting there very quietly and you go, mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. What are those auditory cues that you're still listening? He used to say I would give those cues to disrespect him. Yeah, he thought when I go, mm-hmm. So that's what I'm saying. That's the level of this, the level of discomfort this person was in. And so I I was like, and I tried to explain how the Pluto energy works and all this. I thought, I can hold space for you to actually have a conversation if you want to work through this. Needless to say, he did it. He instead doubled down on, his position or whatever. And so we're not, the relationship ended and went into this whole lawsuit situation, which I'm going to do a video on later. But that is probably the most extreme case of me having that experience. Like, let me see. I'm like pulling up his cards while you're talking about it because I was just so fascinated. Yep. I was his
lifetime.
Let me look.
That is a very extreme case.
Extreme case.
Pluto,
yeah.
For sure.
Extreme. Sure. And I'm looking at it and I'm just like, oh man. And I'm like, why are we arguing? Why are you getting, that's my first thing. I was like, let me go look at the cards because I'm just like, why are we arguing like over these like weirdest arguments? I'm like not even talking to you and you're getting mad. So that was probably the most extreme case. I was just his Pluto for that year. I think, yeah. So
yeah, I think most people experience Pluto. It's you said something that was really interesting. You said something along the lines of, you said to him, this is all in your head. Like, this is not really happening or something like that. And I got what you meant. What you meant because sometimes with that Pluto energy, it feels like it can just be a reflection or mirroring back to you, something about you that for whatever reason you are seeing in this person that is not actually there. And people don't realize it and they will think that you are the problem.
And I will be doing honest, something to me. I promise you I'm not. I promise
I've experienced it and I've also had it done to me, right? With that Pluto position. So I understood. I understood what you meant. I understood what you meant.
So then the other thing about it, and this is why I said, oh, he really is supposed to. So then not only that, he had a 6 of diamonds in Saturn over the 5 of diamonds. I said, oh my God.
So explain what
So,
that is for
so
someone who doesn't
the
know.
6 of diamonds is a card of karmic values, things, something like, so for instance, if you have, Saturn is a card of the planetary period of like, I want to say restrictions, lessons, hard lessons, most likely, and also the planetary period of karma. So that particular energy, and when you have a 6, it kind of magnifies that whole karmic aspect of it, right? So the diamonds card is a card of money and value. So that year, he was either dealing with some karmic influences or karmic energies around his values and or money. Now, based on my experience of him that year, I'm looking at him. So then that's your direct card. But then he has a card underneath the 5 of diamonds, which was a vertical card. Now, the vertical card is like the card that kind of explains, like you have like the direct card, which is your main headline, and then you have the vertical card, which I say like a supporting character, right? Or, the thing that kind
Or
of
that gives you more
explains what's going on,
context. Yeah.
gives you more context, right?
Mhm.
So this is the setup. You got me as this Pluto. It's crazy. Doing bananas when I'm looking at this, right? You got me as his Pluto. Then you got me as, I think it was like a result card too. Yeah. So on his PRC. Then you got him, then you've got the 6 of diamonds over the 5 of diamonds in the Saturn. And I'm just like, oh, I am tearing this man up. I am like his entire life.
And don't even realize it.
Just like,
And don't even know.
what? And it
Yeah.
was funny because it got to the point, because we were in a classroom setting, that other people were like, she didn't even say anything. Why do you keep picking on her?
Mm.
So I
That's
said,
that
oh,
Pluto.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's that Pluto.
Just like, yeah, so it was just funny, but yeah.
That's interesting. That was definitely an extreme case of it for sure. But
Yeah.
just an example,
Yeah.
like Pluto can whoop that ass. It like
Yeah. Yeah.
really can.
It
And
was wild. It was
unfortunately,
wild.
sometimes end you in a lawsuit. That's crazy. That's crazy.
Great.
That's
I
crazy.
haven't gone into everything only because I'm going to do a full video on it.
Mhm.
And I'm going to pull up all the cards. You're going to be like, what
That's
yeah,
insane. Okay.
bananas. And you can see how it's walked through. I'm going to walk through everything.
Okay. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
So let's take it to you being a business coach using the cards. How was the $1 million birth card born?
So again, I would be doing readings for my clients, because after a while, they're like, Skye, good. They wouldn't just call me about their business. They're like, can you pull my cards when they would have questions and stuff like that, because they kind of got used to it and they realized, oh, this is really cool. But they would need to keep calling me to ask me to do it. And I'm just like, I don't got time right now, but I'm going to show you how to do it.
Mhm.
So needless to say, after doing that for a while, I was just like, instead of calling me, they should be able to pull something up on their phone, their laptop or whatever, and ask the questions. I said, and it's funny because I have a tendency, we talked about this earlier this week, I have a tendency to make myself obsolete, because I'm just like, you don't need to call me. I can show you how to fish versus giving you a fish every time. So I wanted to create something that my clients could use that would allow them to get the answers that they were looking for from me without having to call me all the time. I wanted them to provide them with that type of accessibility without them necessarily having to learn cardology, because part of the barrier that makes this I feel like part of the barrier is that you simply have to understand cardology. So I was just like, how can I get people to get the benefits of cardology without having to learn cardology. You can learn cardology over time by using it.
Yeah.
But I didn't want people to have to say, go and study it, because I mean, I had been studying it for years before I actually started doing it in my own personal life. So I was like, how can I short circuit that process and make the knowledge that I have accessible to people? So there's other software out there. But for me, the issue with the software was that the software was not adaptable and you couldn't ask the software question. You still had to have a level of cardology knowledge to interpret what the answers the software gave you, right? So I was
Mhm.
just like, that's still the barrier. So, you know, I decided to write a book, for whatever. I was moved to write a book. I wouldn't say I was decided because it was, you're writing a book. This is what you're doing. That's all. Okay, guess we'll write a book. So, and then, I wrote the books. And then I always said, I was like, as I'm writing books, I was like, these need to be apps. These need to be apps. But what I understand was in the process of writing the book gave me the process to make the apps. So I didn't understand why I needed to write the book first, but writing the book showed me how, because in writing the book, you have to, remember I was telling you, it forces you to logic out the process. And in
Yeah.
logicking out the process, I was able to create the apps. So I created an app that anybody um, without cardology knowledge can ask questions about their business, as long as you know your business's birthday. Like I use incorporation date. Now, I'm going to put this caveat out there. I'm a purist. This is what Skye does. I only look at businesses as separate if they have gotten their LLC, if they actually incorporated. My personal belief is, like, again, I'm a purist. If you are running a business that you have not incorporated, then that business is an extension of you as a person, because it's just like I think about pregnancy, right? The child is still within the mother until the child was born. Your business is not a separate entity until you incorporate it. So there's people's like, well, I use the date that I started doing business or I got my first order. That's fine for you. This is what Skye does, because I've had this argument back and forth. I'm a purist. It is not a separate entity until you incorporate. So that, for me, that's the answer. So anybody that asks me, well, what date should I use? How do you incorporate it? Then you should use, then your business is a part of you. It's not separate. So I tell people I allow the $1 Million Birth Card app. What it does is allow people to use that date, whether it be their birth date or the business's or corporation date, and they create a birth card and they get a spread from that. Now, from that, a person is able to be able to look at the energies, like we talked about, that are affecting their business and how to best capitalize on those particular energies. Now, I made a conscious decision to only include the birth date because of something called analysis paralysis. When you're given too much information, and if you don't know how to synthesize the information, it prevents you from making a decision. Okay? If you don't know cardology, I'm not going to tell you what your birth card is and your planetary ruling card and your vertical cards. That's a lot of information I feel that, in my experience, prevented people from moving forward and actually taking the meat of the information. So I made a conscious decision to only use the planetary ruling cards and the person's birth card. I do only have direct cards versus vertical cards. So for the cardologists watching this is my logic behind why I chose to do that way. So the goal was for anybody, whatever their level of card is, to be able to put in their information about their business and have like a business consultant in their pocket. So you could ask in-depth, detailed questions about, say, you're in your Mercury period. Even if you don't know what your Mercury period is, what should I do right now? You can literally ask, what should I focus on in my business right now? And it'll tell you exactly what to focus on. the better the question, the more detailed the answer. So if you put in things like what your business is, what you're trying to do, it can literally plan out your business strategy. And I know this because I use it to plan out my personal business strategy. So I created it in mind for my clients that I was using, that I was coaching, so that if I'm not there, they can get help.
Awesome. So give me an example about a time where you've used your spread for your business. You used it to make a decision and it turned out exactly the way the card said it would.
Um, so I literally launched my business along the lines of what I have going on. So when luckily I picked the great date for, I didn't actually pick the date, but the way, my business, is set up, so I, I won't say it necessarily turned out exactly how it's like, oh, this turned out great because of just where I am in my business. So for instance, during my Mercury period, that's when I was putting out a lot of the launches, a lot of the information about my upcoming launch. And during the Venus period, I was also, connecting with affiliates and things like that, partnering with other companies, other potential business partnerships, things like that. Um, I'm trying to think what specifically happened that, oh, I guess my business is a 10 of hearts and this is a 10 of hearts here. That was accidental. Because I just launched last year. Um, what happened that was really turned out exactly? Let me think. Because it's kind of like still early. Oh, Jupiter. So I just got my visibility for Jupiter. I
Mm.
had a really good card for visibility. And suddenly people were looking at me on social media. Suddenly. Now my job's getting like 20 votes. I mean 20 views on social media. Say whatever. I'm gonna just keep going. And then suddenly, and then got increased in Jupiter. So that is something that I happened. So I was like, oh, okay, here we go. Finally.
Okay. All right.
I don't have
So
like the
what is
many views like some people. Howsoever.
you gonna get there? You gonna get there. People are like, what is this cardology stuff? And
Right.
they're asking questions, right?
Right, right, right,
So
right.
it's important that those of us that want to talk about it do, right? Because people
Right.
are, they're curious. They're wanting to know. So let's talk about these advantage reports because I had the
Okay.
pleasure
Okay.
of getting one from you, and I
Okay.
thought it was pretty awesome. So let's talk
Good.
about these advantage reports and how they can help people.
Okay. So I have I call them advantage because I like to have like positive names, right? I didn't want to just call them a report. I said it's an
Yeah.
advantage I'm giving you. So
Yeah.
you have several advantages, as I call them. You have your personal advantage, like if you just want to know something about your personal life, what's going on with you. Then you also have your wealth and career advantage. So like for people that want, say, to know something, like if they have a business, they want to put something in about, ask questions about not only them, but their business. Then you have your relationship advantage. So these are the ones I really like because the advantages also give you a forecast. So there's a lot of people who are dating and, kind of want to know what the energy is. So it not only gives you your spread, gives you information about your spread, but also the person you're dating and gives you a forecast on your 12-month love life, right? And so it gives you, it just helps you relate better to the other person. And then you have the parent and child advantage. So, you know, I love this one for teenagers because, the teens, they kind of go through their hormonal changes and it's just like, you're like best friends and then they stop talking to you. And a lot of parents are like, I don't know what's going on with my kid. Why is he acting like that? There's an advantage for that. So it allows you to
That's like a tagline, right?
Right. So it allows you to like, if you might not be in a place where you have the best communication with your child, you can kind of know what's going on with them. But the thing that I really like about them, again, because I'm a five of diamonds, I'm all about change and adaptability. My experience with the reports that we get from other people who've created reports is that they're static and it doesn't actually answer the question that you need answered at that moment in time or just in general. The advantages I've created actually it allows you to ask a question that, because you're getting one because usually there's something on your mind. You can ask the question and the reports become tailored to the question, answering the question that you ask. So you could ask, I could ask a question. If you're not going to get the same advantage every time, it depends on what it is, like I said, what you ask, but no two advantage is going to be the same.
Mhm.
So again, everything I've created is adaptable and changeable. It's not static. Again, I'm a five of diamonds. So,
True
I
to your
mean,
card.
that's what I
True
was
to
going to
your
say. So
card.
when you ask, how does it, and I did not even, we're totally sidebarring right now because this is how our conversations usually go. I didn't even think about that until after I said, oh, I'm so five of diamonds right now, because everything I've created changes. It changes to the person, it adapts to the person. And it's just like, I did not plan that, but that is a natural. So when you ask, well, how do your cards show up in your life? I mean,
Mhm.
I'm literally doing it right now. And even if you watch my videos, videos on social media, I'm not dancing for you. I'm not twerking. I'm not doing anything. I'm going to sit there and give you information. That's it. That's all. You're not
Right.
going to be entertained. You're going to be educated. That's that king
Mhm.
of clubs. So it's
That's
just
the king
funny.
of
So when they say,
clubs.
how do those cards express my social media? I educate you. That's it. That's all.
Mhm.
I might have a little spice when I'm saying it, but that's it. That's all. I'm not that person. Sorry. Uh, you're not going to get all the flashing cuts and all the music. And I don't even know how to do that. You're not going to get that. That strange voices. You're going to get me talking to you, giving you the information, and that's the end of the video. That's it. That's all.
No,
I'll
I
change my
respect that.
outfit. That's it. That's all I'm getting. So,
I
but yeah,
respect
that's
it.
how the cards express themselves. But going back to that, the apps and everything, the advantages, everything, even though it's a written report, you can ask a different question. You're going to get the same fundamental information, but tailored differently. And that was important to me because again, no two people are the same.
Mm.
The needs, just because it's great to have an interpretation, but the interpretation has to adapt. That was my personal belief. And I think we were talking about this, how, one of the softwares that are out there, you were just like, I don't even use it anymore because the interpretation hasn't changed. You know what it is. And I wanted something that can evolve and grow with you. So that was my philosophy. And that's the whole philosophy of the advantage, because the advantages are supposed to deal with the snapshot or a time in your life. You're the same card, but you're not going to be the same person, or have the same issues affecting you as you evolve through life. So that was kind of my thinking and also making something that was accessible, again, to anybody, not just a person that understands cardology. That's also the other thing. It's just like, this should not be hidden information. This should not be something that people don't have access to, and making it accessible and usable to anybody was my goal for all of my products.
Yeah, I was gonna say in reading the one for myself, that is one of the things that I took away from it. I'm like, anybody could read this and understand, even if they didn't
Hmm.
have knowledge of the cards. It's pretty
Right.
clear map
Yeah.
or direction
Yeah.
on what your
Hmm.
year is like, what to pay attention to, what to be mindful of,
Hmm.
even the possibilities, you
Yeah.
know? So I really liked it for that because let's be realistic. Not everybody is going to want to jump into the
No.
world of cardology. It's the same thing with astrology.
Right.
People want to read the
Right.
horoscopes, right? They want to
Right.
understand things. They might want a natal chart, but not everybody really
Right.
wants to dig into the modality itself. So
Right.
for that reason, I think that that would resonate with a lot of people. So you have a general one for
Yes.
business, one for
Mhm.
relationships, one for
Parenting.
children,
Yes.
parenting,
Parent-child.
right?
Yeah.
So that's 4. So
Yes.
this is
Yes.
pretty much covering a lot of the
Mhm.
bases. Okay.
Yeah. And it's funny because, again, I always say I am my own avatar. Everything that I created was something that I wish I had. So I wish I had, again, because of our shared history with, growing up, it's just, I wish my parents had this for me, or I wish I had this, um, in my business, because I did business trial and error. I didn't have a business coach. I was like out, out the, in the trenches. And so there's a lot of things that I tried and have changed that I wish, had I just simply understood who I was as a person to that degree, I would have done things differently.
Hmm.
And so I try to give that to people. It's the learning. It's my heart in a technology, I guess. It's my gift in technology. It's what I want to leave behind in technology. So
Got it. Okay. So are these open to the public? Can anyone order them right now?
yes, you can. So right now they're actually on sale because it's a new product, and also, so the Cardology Advantage is made a year on what is it, July 31st. We're 10 of hearts. So I created $10 advantages. The reports are only $10 through the end of August. So August 31st, right? And you can get any of the 4 advantages for $10, no limit. At that, after on the September 1st, they're going to be going back up to like between $49 and $59 each. But right now they're $10 in honor of our anniversary. So just go to the
Okay.
website,
That's,
thecardologyadvantage.com.
and
So
we'll
yeah.
drop it in the
Uh,
description box. So thank you, Scott. Thank you for
Thank
coming
you for
on. It was
having me.
so fun to bring our phone conversations to the to
I
the
know
podcast.
we bounce I bounce. So, it's funny because it's like, it's great having another friend that's a cardiologist as well, because you get to bounce stuff off of each other and just like, okay,
Yeah.
what do you think about this? And so she's been my guinea pig for a lot of my ideas. And I was like, tell me, do you think this won't do actually like what I'm doing here? So yeah, for a lot of the stuff I do. So it's been great.
Happy to be. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.